Hello and welcome to the Learn How to See Better podcast, the only podcast out there known to actually improve your vision the longer you listen. This is your host, Drew Davis, and I'm glad you've joined me here today. I can't wait to share some great information with you about how to improve your health, wealth, and relationships. So let's get right down to it, shall we? Hello, everyone. It's Drew Davis, and I'm back with another episode of Learn How to See Better, the podcast that helps your vision increase the longer you listen to it. And today what we're going to talk about is extra expectations, because that's what I was going through recently. And I thought I would share that with everyone, because as much as I work on myself and try to learn how to see better each and every day as I move through the world, I find instances where I'm not necessarily doing what I'm learning. It's no different than when I tell my kids, you know better than to do this or that. It's like, sometimes I know better too, but I tend to make mistakes still, like everyone out there. And I'm not ashamed of recognizing and sharing what some of those mistakes are. And case in point, I was traveling recently. And I was gone out of town for a good chunk of time, almost a full week. I was gone, away from the wife and kids, taking care of business, and it was a great trip, but it was tough to be gone. And so, the thought I knew and I've always had is I've got my priorities in the right order with regards to family and business and what matters more, and how you adjust your priorities based on those things. Is I knew as soon as I got back from our work trip, I'm paying back my family for the time lost with interest. A great lesson I learned from Jim Rohn that taught me that. And that's something I believe in. And I think that I had my priorities on the right track by doing that. At the same time, this was such a good, week that I had traveling on the road. I had a great event that I attended. I got to be a student. I got the opportunity to be a teacher and speak on stage and inspire and influence and educate and entertain and instruct and have fun doing the whole thing. But the downside of that, quote unquote, was that there was a lot of, generated business opportunity and new connections. And so I came back to town and wanted to just hit the ground running, right? With all that momentum, I'm charged up, felt like I was the, Super Mario from the video game back in the day. You get the star and you're invincible for the next little chunk of time. And what I found was that when I started the week, I had to take a brief moment to sync with some of my accountability partners about what our plans were for the week for growing and building our business. And so, I'm on fire. I'm motivated. I'm feeling like I could take on the world 10 foot tall and bulletproof, right? Well, I made commitments as a result of that eager moment of motivation, and didn't really take into account all the other things that I needed to do just to adjust to being back home life, not on the road, and needing to, to make sure that I get back to sharing my time and dividing my attention, right? And redirecting away from business and to my loved ones. But, the sensation was go, 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 and just, hop back behind the wheel and pedal to the metal, right? And so what I found is, even though last week was great with regards to new business coming on board, was great with regards to getting reconnected with my family, and just taking back better control of my health. That can be more challenging when I'm on the road. And I was doing all of these great things, but at the end of the week, I did not reach. I didn't reach completion on all the tasks that I wanted to have done for the week. I didn't meet all the milestones that I had kind of owned up to and signed up to at the start of the week, knowing that I was going right into this gauntlet. And so I found myself, feeling a little bit bad over the weekend. And it's just kind of that natural tendency where you set this 100-item to-do list and, shucks, I only did 96 of them, right? And it wasn't even that spectacular, but the idea that, I had a lot I wanted to accomplish, and, found myself getting down on myself a little bit for not getting all that done. And this is part of learning how to see better. It's learning how to identify and separate yourself from your actions, and take that time to reflect periodically and recognize what's going on in your world, where your wins, where your areas of improvement opportunity. And that was just one that I saw. I said, it took me, probably until Monday of this week, over the weekend, to process everything, and said, hey, you're focusing on the wrong thing. It's cool that you're just in go mode and you're ambitious as all get out and you're driven and you want to take on the world. That's all well and good. But the fact of the matter is, you're doing what matters most. You're getting reconnected with your family. You're putting first things first, getting your priorities in the proper order. But I felt like my priorities were out of order simply because I had added more to my plate that was not realistic to try and take on. It wasn't sensible to try and take on because I was setting myself up for failure, knowing that I had other obligations preempting me being able to carve out the time for these new obligations. And so when I was able to get that all through my head and kind of reset and see myself through kind eyes and sync back with my accountability team and say, hey, you know what? I didn't do the stuff I said. I set out to get it done. I got a lot of great things done last week, but I didn't accomplish everything. And it was good to hear the feedback that, you know, wasn't too harsh criticism. It's like, yeah, you got to have these things in the right priority when you set them out so that you know you're pursuing the right things. But at the same time, if you had wins, celebrate those. Take a moment to recognize the growth, the accomplishment. And, you know, not much different than we tell our kids, do your best and forget the rest. Because the fact of the matter is, there's still this week to be able to make headway on some of those activities. And lucky for me, lucky for us, we're able to continue moving forward towards those goals. And I think that it's a scenario where I would just refuse to allow myself to get paralyzed by the progress or lack thereof, because there are going to be instances where you have nothing but the best expectations of excellent performance or accomplishment or milestones achieved, and you might fall short. And it doesn't mean it's a failure. It just might mean you're going to achieve that goal in slightly longer time, or it's going to be a little bit more work involved before you reach that milestone and peak. And for that reason, it is important to understand that you can't just make summer get here a little bit early by tearing a couple of months off the calendar. It doesn't work that way. There's a process by which Mother Nature comes in and takes effect. And as long as you keep your head down, keep pumping that well, even if you had to slow down the pumping a little bit because you were juggling as well, that's all right. You just get back to pumping when you can set down the balls from juggling, and you'll still be able to make that progress up and get the wheels back on the track the way you want to, so you can have that traction that you set out to enjoy. So that was one thing I thought that I would do as a way to kind of share what I actually go through as I go through my process of evolution, as I learn how to actually see better, as I learn how to evaluate my own performance, evaluate the expectations and goals I set to myself as I get and reach them, and then the ones I fall short of, to understand that that even makes sense to really pursue. What were the things that held me back? Was it all about me, or was it all about my ambition, or was it some combination of both? Because there are instances where you can get really excited to go down a path and find out, I don't know if that's necessarily the right thing for right now. And so we must constantly be on the lookout for instances where we can tune, hone, and adjust our vision to be able to get that better precision and better accuracy on the goal that we want to hit. So with that, I thought I'd just share that little bit of vulnerability, but also the strength gained from the experience of having that uncomfortable, unpleasant feeling of, shucks, I didn't get it all done. I wanted to do more. I felt I'm capable of more, and I expected it from myself. All right, fine. Reload, lock and reload, reset, and recalibrate, and get back out there and take another swing of the bat so that you can make it happen, especially if you know you've got it in you. So that's really my attitude right now for the week. Positive outlook, positive outcome, as always, you know my saying, and that's how it goes. But I hope this would be some encouraging words for somebody out there that might have just set a goal or a milestone for themselves and didn't achieve it, and set a week to do it, and really it's going to take 10 days or 2 weeks. Well, you know what? The fact of the matter is, 3 weeks from now, you're looking back at an accomplishment. And typically, there's not going to be this necessary disdain for that accomplishment, because it came a little bit behind schedule based on the anticipated completion date. So see yourself through kind eyes, positive outlook, positive outcome. Keep after it. Do your best. Forget the rest. Take the time to reflect. Always be open to receive constructive feedback, And these can be some things that'll help you, gauge and better set sights on your course, so you'll be able to achieve the goals that you set out to and reach your full potential. So that's what I've got for you this evening. And until next time, keep after it, and looking forward to seeing you tune in for another episode. Thanks again, and talk to you all soon.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.